Hey all, welcome to Circle of Town and welcome to the Vanilla Sausage Podcast. Today, going back to some old stomping ground of mine when it comes to the death of rock and the death of metal. And I actually think you have to be old enough to realize what the peak of rock, the peak of metal was, because I lived through it. And I've also, I'm in my past life, I'm a software test technician, so I'm up on the very bleeding edge of tech, right? So I know about the forums, I know about the Facebook, I know about the TikTok, I know about digital audio workstations, I know all about drum replacement, I know all about that crap, right? That has ruined metal. And I'm going to say it right now that the DAW, the digital audio workstation, has killed rock and metal. And I'll tell you why later on. Why am I back in the rock is dead, guitar is dead, relatively, in the scene compared to its heyday? David Draiman, singer from Disturbed, David Draiman refutes rock is dead claim with a list of thriving young bands. Now, on these videos I've done in the past, there's always been, you've got to look in the underground, you have to look, you're not looking in the right places, even though I practically was the underground. I lived it from tape trading back in the day to dial-up to bulletin boards, then to message boards, then to YouTube channels, then to YouTube comments, then to Facebook groups, then to TikTok, then to this, to that. I've been through the whole gamut of how you share music and how you listen to music and how you discover music, right? You can't get somebody more experienced than me when it comes to being in the trenches of guitar forums, on music forums, on thrash forums, on death metal, on black metal, on this, on rock and progressive. I was born in the darkness, all right? I am the internet's neckbeard, get used to it. And just in the comments, come to me with fealty and respect, okay? Very sarcastic too. But I believe David Draiman believes that rock isn't dead. And I believe that he thinks that these bands that he's quoting he thinks that they're the next generation, the next level, right? Because he's in a bubble. Guitarists are in a bubble where all they see is, YouTuber here, band who embraces social media there, constantly in rotation, right? The music listening public has no idea of any of these bands that Draiman's talking about. Let's have a listen. Let's see if you've even heard of the bands who are the saviors of rock, right? Draiman praised two acts that comprise of women. Now, women are being pushed right now because to be nominated for a Grammy, you have to have diversity. Either people of color or women. The white male genre thing is being, for good or for worse, I don't even care, to be honest. The Grammys always sucked. But in all the tiers of awards, you have to meet a certain demographic to be pushed, right? So he's going to a new band called The Warning. Now, because I am the internet's neckbeard, I've written about them in the past of how they're being pushed, not on the merits of their skills. It's just because they're women. I'm just going to be completely frank, right? They're being picked up by labels because they're women. They're not going to make a dent. They are a solid 6 out of 10 in every aspect. Songwriting, production. One of my favorite producers produced them. From songwriting, it's all a 6 across the board. You could ask 100,000 people in a mall or in an airport or in a random place where there's normies, and you ask them to hum a tune of The Warning. Could they hum a tune of The Warning? Do they know who they are? The savior of rock? The hype. Is there any hype? There's lots of headlines, but they're bought headlines. They're industry purchased rotational marketing headlines. Things don't end up on Loudwire without a little bit of payola going underneath the table, all right? So blabbermouth the same. It's got to be underneath that management network if you're going to get a mention there. God bless him. I'm saying God bless him could be seen as me being condescending. But I wish them the best, and they are at the best time that they could be with their skills. They're at the best time they could be. So now it's down to them to prove me wrong. 5 years' time, they're going to be a blip, and they'll be gone. That's my opinion. Let's see if I'm right. Let's move on to the next one. Plush. Plush, even more under the radar because they haven't been pushed at all. So I checked them out. I hadn't heard of them, I'll be honest. And I think if everybody else was honest, I think I've heard of an old 70s band called Plush. But yeah, again, did he come up with this list, or was it his management that came up with this list? It'd be interesting to see if they're underneath the same management structure. They might not be. They might be on a different label, but at the end of the day, the labels are all dealing under the table anyway. Plush, again, ask any normie. Do they have as many subscribers as me? I'm a C-level YouTube channel. I've never heard of them. I listened to them, and again, solid sixes. Think about the impact that people like, let's just say Jimi Hendrix, right? Rock blues. He was shot out of a goddamn cannon and blew everybody's minds and got everybody, including the guitarist at Killing Joke, everybody to pick up guitars. They're like, what the fuck is this? Do you think that these girls are having the same effect on the average teenager? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Shot out of a cannon, shot out of a fucking pea shooter. Who else has he mentioned? Now, this... I feel kind of sorry for... No, I don't, because he's a rock star. He's been there, done it, and respect to him. He wrote some amazing songs, great voice, leather pants, Tommy Vance. He does give me a little bit of that history teacher by day, rock and roll dress up, stolen heavy metal valor by night. He gives me a little bit of those vibes, but respect him. He knows how to write a damn song. He knows how to perform. I think it's cheese, but, he did it. I would sell out in a second. I'd join his band in a second. And I would bring out a distortion pedal, which actually sounds good, unlike the pile of shit that their guitars brought out, which is probably one of the worst distortion pedals in the world. And I can't not mention it because it's always on my mind. Every time Disturbed are mentioned, I always think about how destroyed I was when I tried out his pedal, because I thought they had relatively good tone for the time. I thought, it's going to be awesome. What a shit pile. What was up with that, man? All right. So this is where he's showing his age a bit. We got Bring Me the Horizon. They've been around for decades, dude. And Bring Me the Horizon are the only legitimate rock stars that he's mentioned on this list. Even though they're on the downward trajectory now, I think even they'll admit that their peak has come and gone. Of all these bands were what they did back in the day, because they were around in the CD era. So these are the fresh, young hope. I mean, they're starting to look a bit grey around the gills now. And a lot of these other bands, Motionless in White, they've been going for 20 years or whatever. It's like, these aren't new, nothing more. These are can I get one list of the who's who of guitar without seeing Nita Strauss that have had no hits, that are usually just sidekicks for big bands? You know what I mean? No disrespect to her. Why should I even apologize? Because she's getting so many headlines and she has not really done that much in the scene. So maybe that sums it up. Nita Strauss, everybody. That's the guitar scene, blowing people's minds, where she can play cover versions pretty good. It's kind of what I do. So maybe I need a pair of boobs. I kind of have some. I got some pics coming. So, and it's ironic. I mean, let's go through. Let's do my favorite thing. Let's see how amazing rock is. Let's go through Blabbermouth headlines. All right. What is going on when it comes to popular metal, right? And this is, I haven't looked before I leaped, right? Blabbermouth news. Because this will prove to all of you people that keep on telling me I'm wrong, and it's... Let's see, okay? Let's see these. Okay, the first one, Sammy Hagar on his Las Vegas residency, where the dinosaurs go to die. Holy shit, Sammy Hagar. How old is he now? The next one is Fear Factory, Baldy, Blindy, Burton. So we got Fear Factory. They go beyond the CD days. They go back to the vinyl days. And when was the last big record that they brought out that pushed people's shit in? W.a.s.p, Blackie Lawless. I'm not fucking editing any of this, all right? I love W.a.s.p, by the way. Check out my video on W.a.s.p. Kick ass. I've done Fear Factory. Check this out. I've done Van Halen. Check this out. Tony Iommi. How old is he? Is he 80 yet? Jesus Christ. I've done Tony Iommi. Done him in the ass. Judas Priest. Judas, you know what's funny? 4-piece. One guitarist on the next tour. And I was like, is this a troll? I posted about them in the Circle Tone Facebook group. Search Circle of Tone on Facebook and you can join us complaining about the state of rock and metal. But so I was like, is this a lie to get headlines? Of all the bands in the world, the twin guitars, Judas Priest, and they're going to go out with one guitarist? What the And Andy Sneap was like saying, oh, I was disappointed with the decision. Andy Sneap, one of my heroes, because of Sabbath. Sabbath is one of the greatest thrash bands of all time. My favourite British metal band, by far. There was a Gordon Ramsay meme going around, right? Check this picture out. And I posted this on my Instagram. And I said, let's face it, it kind of looks like the average band that Andy Sneap is working with for the past decade. And here's my proof. So, it's a bit of a dig. It's a bit of a dig about the state of, not at Andy Sneap, because he's living the life, but it's a bit of a dig at the state of rock and metal, where he's, he should be propping up teenage bands, it's 20-something bands, the better than ever bands, but he's not. He's just spinning his wheels with wrinkly rockers, And that, again, props up my thing. So all this news, we got Judas Priest, right? Better than ever. Fozzy drummer, look, how old, who's this guy? Okay, so Fozzy, again, Dave Mustaine. Have you seen pictures of Dave Mustaine recently? Jesus Christ, he looks rough. But then again, it happens to the best of us. He was a beautiful, beautiful man. We got Vince Neil, Motley Crue. Rock isn't dead. It's literally almost dead. Half of Judas Priest are almost dead. Like literally almost dead. It's sad news. Loverboy, holy shit, how old are they? Megadeth, Nick Menza, that's a nice headline. I'll check that out later on. There's a speed painter completes a portrait of Nick Menza, as it happens on the group as well. Recently, I shared a video of him practicing and recording Holy Wars. Probably the best drummer I've ever seen live. I saw them with Pantera and Megadeth. And I got kicked off the stage because I jumped off the stage, same stage as Dimebag Darrell. And I got kicked out by bouncers and then I sneaked back in. Who else we got? Oh, we got Skillet. He's in the news now because he's like, oh, you have political views and this and that. We have Max Cavalera. I shared a drink with him. The hell of a boy. Back in the day, he was a secret gig. Nightwish, old. Five Finger Death Punch. I've seen a state on them recently. Jesus Christ, they're looking a bit rough. It's good to see that he's through his alcoholism though. He almost died. Rock isn't dead. He literally died. He literally died of alcohol withdrawals. We have Black Sabbath Bill Ward, no longer angry at former bandmates. Yes, he is, you liar. Blackie Lawless shoots down Chris Holmes, claimed he was... Of course Chris Holmes was screwed. Of course he was. Come on, Blackie. Blackie is a perfect politician. Just a piece of shit. But I don't think there's enough assholes in rock anymore. So I like him. What we got? KK Downing. Oh, Budgie's singer died, so he's paying tribute to Burke. Old Welshman like myself. Rest in peace. Rock is dead. And literally sucks, man. Stained. Aaron Lewis has his appendix. Look at all this sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It is actually the aftermath of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Look at this picture. I'll put it up. So Stained Aaron Lewis is in the... What's going on with him? I don't know. It doesn't look good. He had his appendix removed. That sucks. That's painful. Ian Anderson. Now we're getting up into the 80s. 80-year-old. Progressive rock and roll legend Ian Anderson, who beat out Metallica for a Grammy, speaking of bullshit. Oh shit, we got some 40-somethings. He's getting younger. At least we just halved the age overnight. Joe Satriani. What has he done for Surfer? I don't know. Annihilator. Legend. I've done Annihilator in the past. Diamond. We again, up there, the age again. Coheed and Cambria. Okay, we have a young band. Oh, maybe not young, but, once human. Okay, we have a release, everybody. How long did it take me to get to a new band? Well, not new, but it took a while, but we got there. David Coverdale. He's 70 years old now. Helicopters. Holy shit, that's going back. Scorpions down in Gorky Park, being wheeled in wheelchairs by their caregivers. We have Slash being wheeled onto the scene in some mediocre 6 out of 6 rock band again. Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder, Dave Mustaine. Sebastian Bach, McMars. Keith, this is all the news. But Die Boy, my old China, people don't give a fuck about the bands that he met. Probably 2 of the bands that he mentioned are relevant today. One of them is the genuine bona fide rock stars. The rest of them they couldn't prop up a theatre on their own, let alone an arena. He's fighting for us, but why lie? He's lying. He's lying to himself. He might not be aware of it. It's better than ever, apparently. David Coverdale is still alive. I've done Whitesnake, by the way, as well. Rock and metal are dead. And why did I say the DAW? There's lots of reasons why rock is dead. The biggest is the DAW. Everything snapped to a grid. The drums are recorded separately. They're all drum replaced. So it's not the actual drummer you're hearing. It's all snapped to a grid. It's all fake drums. Then the bass is done. Then the guitars are done. None of it is recorded live anymore. The bones of the track live. So you don't get Chaos Theory. You don't get anything interesting. You don't get anything new. You don't get any weird corners farting out and some tribal, the gene. There's a fucking gene in rock and metal fans that shy away from quantized rap, that shy away from the old quantized disco, that shy away from produced, very clean, very organized. Some people are just chaotic and they love the chaos of rock and metal. Now there's no chaos. Now it's overproduced. And if I wanted to listen to something heavy, EDM is heavier, stuck to a grid too. So, and there's actually in EDM, there's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You got these old people in Viagra brigades. It's not sexy anymore. Rock and metal is just guilty, apologetic, and, toxic masculinity and the rest of it. In rap, in EDM, in country, there still seems to be a little bit of sexy. A little bit of sexy. In rock and metal, especially black metal, it's just a sausage fest of incels just playing the same trem note they've been playing for decades because they think it's cool, because they've been sold some bullshit on black metal scene that it's dark and brooding when it was a bunch of fucking idiots and a lot of mental illness thrown in with it. It was exciting for me when it first came out, but decades later, the same shit being regurgitated by the underground, it's ruined the underground. Why is rock and metal dead? It's because of tech. The DAW, you can sound like anybody, and so you listen to a band like Sean or whatever, or you listen to, say, Yvette Young. You can sound exactly like her. You buy a certain guitar, you get a Strymon, you get Shimverb, you get the compressor, you learn how to tap, and all of a sudden you become her. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. People are Googling how to play guitar and they're becoming the people they like. They are becoming Mayhem, where they're putting a heavy metal 2-pedal and just doing dank trem picking over a fucking drum machine. They're becoming them. People said that it's a me generation, and I've said this before, but it's not a me generation. It's a copycat generation. People are copying and pasting stylistic things. The doom. They're copying the doom. They're copying the drone. They're copying the prog. They're copying the the black and roll. They're copying and nobody's coming up with something that's brand new that makes people go, oh, And if somebody says King Gizzard Lizard, I'll punch them in the face. Below average jam band / thrash band that have notoriety because they bring out 5 albums a year. It's just a gimmick. Yeah, the people that say that they like them, they couldn't hum a fucking tune if you put them down, if you tied them down. They just think it's cool to mention bands like that and Death Grips. It's like, Jesus Christ, grow up. So yeah, the scene, a big aspect of it is corporatism. So with Clear Channel Networks, with Ticketmaster, with iHeart Media, with all these, there's a dome of brands that deal under the table, and you have to be within that management structure just to get a gig. You can't even do cover versions anymore without getting dinged for copyright. So you can't even have a covers bar now. Bars are getting huge bills from lawyers saying they've had people visit them saying, these guys played Queens of the Stone Age one night. They played this RCA label asset the other night, and you owe us all this money. And these bars are like, what the hell? It's another hoop that you have to jump through to own. There's no more dive bars. You're being priced out of it with liquor licenses, with noise ordinance laws. You're being priced out of it on purpose by these lobbyists who want to have a stranglehold on music so that the Ticketmaster venues don't get any competition from startups. So it's a very, like back in the day, my father used to play 2 or 3 gigs, sometimes a day. Every single pub on the corner had a stage. They all had a PA, and all these bands, this is in South Wales, you had literally hundreds of venues to play within a couple of miles because there'd be no DJs, there'd be no, the swing bands were out, all that. It was nothing but bands. And then you could pick then, like my father got picked from one band and then somebody else picked another, and you could pick the cream of the crop. And all of a sudden my dad was in London as a 17-year-old playing gigs with the greatest. And then he got signed by the Beatles label, by Apple. And then they went to Warner Brothers. So it's like that structure doesn't exist anymore because it's been priced out. So that's a part of it. So it's not just the DAW. It's not just you being literally priced out of being into that management structure, because that's what they want, a monopoly on your eyeballs. Because even like Universal Music Group, right? It's owned by NBC, I think, and Comcast owns them and the rest of it. They get pushed in the algorithm times 1,000. NBC assets get pushed as a trusted YouTube source so that it saves the kids from dodgy content, right? So metal, especially black metal, stuff like that, is wrongthink. And it's not because they care about the kids. It's because they want their old media to be in the spotlight. So that's what's going on. And that's why we're being pushed these girl bands, because they want to get the Grammys, they want to get this and that and the other. If you are a young kid watching me now, get the bones of the track and do lots of rehearsal and just like pay somebody to record you. Stop recording yourself because people literally hate it. The music public roll their eyes. You have your cousin, when you say, oh, check out my band, they're like, all compressed, super loud. When everything's loud, nothing's loud. So I'm having another rant. Nothing's changed. Nobody, like all of the comments on these videos that I've done, that I think if you want a more in-depth view of what I think is wrong with rock and metal, I did a response to Anthony Fantano when he was being realistic about how metal is dead. And I disagreed with half of the stuff he was saying, but he is on the right track when it comes to getting in the garage and rethinking it. But there isn't a garage. There's only virtual garage, virtual amplifiers, VST amplifiers, virtual drums, VST bass rigs. It's a virtual garage now. So maybe the metaverse is where we're all going to jam, huh? Fucking hell. Nice try, son. If you're seeing this, tell your guitarist to sort his pedal out. And it's been decades since he brought it out, but I'm still bitter. Ask him what did he use on Down with the Sickness and I'll recreate it. Thanks to my patrons of Tone. Surprisingly, nobody signed up to be a patron for a while. But if you like this type of stuff, I'm going to be uploading a lot more often, especially doing just spoken stuff, because I just did Death Angel. And that was demonetized because, fair enough, it's not my music. It's all done to push us down. I mean, how can, for you know, say a 20-minute video and I do a little snippet of their music, how do they get all the money? They say you get some, but it's like pennies. How is that legal? It's legal because they are a monopoly on music and you can't beat them. Do we have anything positive to say about the scene? Anything positive? I'm going to say something controversial. I see a lot of boomer style, even though I'm 50, everybody. I turned 50 last year. I've seen a lot of guitar community make fun of TikTok, and you're missing out. TikTok is what you make it. If you're into guitar, TikTok has ridiculous stuff on there, but also you might be missing out on a trick. I know full well there's a lot of you people watching right now. I've listened to your music. I listen to people's music on the Circular Tone forum, and you can play the tits off these people that are getting thousands of live viewers watching them playing mediocre blues riffs. Get on TikTok, man. You gotta build a following. Just play some good, cool shit, and you're missing out. There's a massive market there to open eyes to your playing, to your band, to whatever. Even if you're doing rants like me, go on TikTok. Get your music on all of them: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Don't miss any of them out, because that is the future. Really, is going to be entertainment. Because what they want is the old cliche is to own nothing and be happy, but you're going to want content. So when you're in your little bubble, when you're in your your little pod, you're going to want to watch something. So you be the creator of that something. You're creative. You be the creator. Don't be the consumer, and just like people are just going to need to be entertained if you do end up being on, universal income. So yeah, so there is a little bit of light at the tunnel. Get on TikTok, show these mediocre guitarists what's up, and get your balls in people's faces. And with that, have a good one. Subscribe, hit like, all that shit that won't matter, because we can't win.
Seaman Forums told me basically you need a lot of mids in the guitars, and then in post you have to suck out all the low end because it has to sit in the mix, and you should use a vintage 30 because it has more mids. Boost the mids, boost the mids. Nobody will listen to your music. Destroy the scene, destroy the scene.